Welcome back. It's your boy Fresh.
And I'm Mary, and we are a Co-ople of nerds.
Welcome to the Saga Genesis. Episode August 1989.
Genesis done.
The real gamers all have the same favorite console, the Sega Genesis. Is it a surprise? God loves Sega so much, he named the first book in the Bible Genesis.
Genesis.
16-bit sports action.
After all, the Genesis does what Nintendo don't.
Gotta go. Hey, guy, you're the first serious gamer I've seen all morning. Check this out. Brand new 16-bit Super Nintendo with Super Mario World. Wow!
What's this one?
Oh, this is a Sonic the Hedgehog from Sega Genesis.
In 2024, the Genesis turns 35 years old. Close your eyes and imagine yourself 35 years ago. Personally, I was swimming around in my dad's ball sack while Mary was wrapping up her sophomore year of college. Life was so much simpler back then. Don't you wish you could go back in time and relive those years?
Not here.
But this time, your parents are loaded, like crazy super rich. They decided rather than showing you love and affection, they will buy you each Sega game as it's released. That is a win-win for both parties.
Weird when they see you've got Stimpy's invention.
In this series, we will travel 35 years into the past each month, where we will collect, review, and rank every North American licensed Sega Genesis game ever made, except for Outback Joey.
Powdered toast, man.
F. Outback Joey.
To save himself, he launches a right hand to the kangaroo's snout.
And all of Australia, for that matter.
The Sega Genesis has blast processing. Super Nintendo doesn't.
We will be using the generally accepted list of games and their release dates. Did we get one wrong?
Shut up, nerd. Shut up, nerd.
Welcome to the Saga Genesis.
And what if you don't have blast processing?
There were a lot of really exciting things going on in August of 1989. On August 15th, Italian swimmer Giorgio Lamberti set the world record for the 200-meter freestyle in 1 minute, 46.69 seconds in Bonn, West Germany. On the 16th, Uncle Buck was released.
I love Uncle Buck.
On the 22nd, the first ring around Neptune was discovered, and on the 28th, Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue was released.
That's like one of my ultimate get amped up jams right there. I would insert it here, but the video would get tagged.
Yeah, well.
So there were 6 games, launch titles for the Sega Genesis in August 1989. Let's get into the first one with Altered Beast.
Altered Beast was developed and published by Sega. It was designed by Makoto Ukida, which I could be pronouncing that wrong. The artist was Reiko Kodama, and I'm totally pronouncing that wrong. The composer was Toru Nakabayashi, and the genre was beat 'em up. Player count 1 to 2.
So this was the original pack-in game for the Sega Genesis, and most people think it was Sonic the Hedgehog, but no, it's Altered Beast. The first thing you'll notice is the amazing intro song. I love that song. It gets me so hyped up. I just rock in my chair back and forth. It was originally an arcade game that they ported over to the Sega Genesis.
It's a good one.
The story is, in ancient Greece, Zeus brings you back to the dead to rescue his daughter Athena from the ruler of the underworld, Neph. Collect power-ups, aka spirit balls, to get swole. Then, if you get all 3, you can transform into your beast form. There are 5 different beast forms, one for each level of the game. All of the beasts have their own unique moveset. You must get all 3 in order to fight the boss. If you do not get all 3 spirit balls, you have to just keep repeating the level
It just goes longer.
It just goes longer. You have to get all three. You can't fight the boss in your human form. When you beat the game, you get the girl, but stay in your wolf form? It's best not to think about. It has, it's a beat 'em up with decent combat. It is an auto scroll, which is a little odd for beat 'em ups. Normally you go at your own pace. It struggles a little bit in the platforming, but it does have, big giant sprites. It has a little more story than the average early game of the era. It's a good one. We liked it.
I like being the bear.
You like the
The
bear
bear
the
was
most?
the most fun one. Yeah, spinning around kind of reminded me a little bit of Blanca, but
Yeah, like a vertical Blanca.
or like almost spinning around a little bit like Sonic.
Yes, but again, going up in the air. The next game is Last Battle.
Japanese title Hokuto no Ken Shin Saikamatsu Kai Saishu Densetsu. Probably said that one wrong.
I told her to practice her Japanese, so if she messed it up,
What
that's on her.
Japanese? I don't know Japanese.
I told you to learn Japanese for the series.
It's not happening. It's way too difficult for me. It's based on Fist of the North Star anime and manga. It's developed and published by Sega. The director, Katsuhiro Masegawa. Artist, Naoto Aoshima and Yosushi Yamaguchi. Genre is also beat 'em up, and it plays one player.
Last Battle is a sequel to the 1986 Sega Master System game Black Belt. You have a power meter that fills up as you defeat enemies. Once you reach a certain point, Arzak will transform into a superpowered state. Another game where the clothes explode off the playable character due to the rippling muscles. Sega Genesis is for the ladies. The game has 4 chapters split into several different levels. You can face these levels in any order you wish, giving the game additional gameplay variety. You can skip levels and try to go straight to the boss, or play through the levels and increase your character stats. The overhead map reveals a web of levels. Walk over the same level twice and you will need to play it twice, with the exception being the boss levels. There's also like mid-level bosses. So you can increase like your vitality, your strength, and such as you go. The levels include typical side-scrolling, boss fights, and dungeon mazes. It has an RPG-like leveling system, branching paths, and the ability to skip entire levels help this game. Horrible dialogue and story, slow character movement, and enemies flying off the screen when they get hit, as well as no continues, hurt this game. This game is a perfect example of great ideas hindered by awful execution. So I love all the ideas within this game. It just, if the game doesn't play right, it just doesn't. You can have all the best ideas in the world, but if it's not flowing right, it's rough. This is the kind of game that I wish they would go back and, put a fresh coat of paint on and get a remaster out.
So it's a replay.
Rewind.
Rewind, yeah.
I haven't seen Fist of the North Star or read any of the books, but so I'm not sure exactly how close it is. But this is our first cover art battle. So we got the North American and PAL
Which is
cover.
Europe.
Which is Europe.
And,
and the Japan.
Yes.
So, I think this is a clear winner for Japan.
Yeah.
The character looks much more similar to the Japanese cover than the American cover. It doesn't really look like him. He kind of looks more like Strider. But, so we will give this battle to Japan. The next game is Space Harrier II.
It was developed and published by Sega. The designer is Yu Suzuki. Composer Tokuhiko Uwabu and Matt Furness. The genre is a third-person rail shooter. Players 1.
This is a sequel to the 1985 arcade game Space Harrier. Harrier must once again save Fantasyland from the forces of evil all by his lonesome. Fantasyland has a distracting checkerboard floor and sometimes ceiling. The biggest threat in this game are the columns. The Sega Genesis could not have objects moving towards the screen as you fly through the level. So instead, they simply flash in and out in different positions to give the effect that you are moving closer to them. So that's why I crash into them all the time. The third-person view also makes seeing enemies and projectiles even harder. You are flying through a checkerboard hell at a blistering pace, dodging and blasting everything in your sights. 13 levels in total, but you can choose which one to start with to get practice on any level giving you a hard time. One hit, one kill kind of game, but you do get a handful of lives depending on the difficulty. You can earn extra lives with points. Speaking of difficulty, this game is a bruiser. If you beat all 13 levels, I will buy a checkered hat just so I can tip it to you.
Oh, so this one beat your butt, huh?
This is a tough one. So this is one of those games. He runs just as fast as he flies. You're over his shoulder. You want to rotate in a circle, fly in a constant circle, so that way the bullets are kind of always one step behind you. That's the best way. If you double back, you will die.
Huh. Well, I don't like one hit.
One hit, one kill?
Nope, don't like that.
Well, last battle is one life. That's all you got.
Yeah, no.
The next game is Super Thunder Blade.
Developed and published by Sega as well. Producer Yuki Naka. Composer Sachio Ogawa. Genre is a third-person rail shooter or shoot 'em up, and it's only one player.
So this is a sequel to the 1987 arcade game Thunder Blade. Another game in which you need to fly in constant circles, dodging and shooting everything in your sights. This game has the same issue as Space Harrier II, where the Genesis cannot show you flying closer to objects, so they flicker in and out. That is until you reach the end stage boss, in which the game switches to an overhead view. In this view, you can only go left to right, you cannot go up and down. Your bullets only fly in a specific distance. If an enemy is too close or too far, you cannot hit them. So it's like you're shooting at an angle down. One very small place. The key to this is to just move left and right over and over and over as you fly over these giant vessels you're trying to blow up. This game includes an air brake to slow down the extreme pace your helicopter flies at. Space Harrier did not have an air brake, this one does. You will need that air brake because there are so many caves, traps, and obstacles throughout the air that you will crash into.
Oh.
You can choose to start with 3, 5, or 7 lives. Don't be a hero, choose 7. You will need it, I promise you. There are 4 levels of carnage to get through.
Only 4?
Only 4 is a small one. Oh man, this game is brutal. Absolutely brutal. that has like moving platforms in front of you, so you got to use this air brake. Meanwhile, you're still spinning in your circles. You have to spin in circles. You can never stop spinning in circles while everything's shooting at you. Then you got to slow down, and there'll be like, you know, opening and closing openings. So you need to time it to speed through, but you don't have a gas pedal. You only have a brake pedal. So it is pretty insane. Up next is Thunder Force 2.
Thunder Force was developed by Technosoft and published by Sega. The designer is Takashi Iwanaga. Artist is Osamu Tsujikawa and Shinya Shirakawa. Composer was Tomomi Otani. And the genre is shoot 'em up. Players 1.
A sequel to the 1983 computer game Thunder Force. Another banger of a soundtrack. Too bad you won't hear it over the constant firing of your weapons. This game has horrible digitized voiceovers. It's like, chicka ladder, good luck. But like, I have no idea what the first two words this guy said was. The first part of the stage is a top-down, free directional scrolling shooter. In this stage, you need to destroy the enemy's bases while being trapped on sections of the map by various barriers. So yeah, so you need to, you're constantly in motion, but it's top-down, and then there's these random moving barriers all over. The first one they're moving barriers all around you while everything's shooting at you, try to kill you. And you define these bases, and you can blow up the guns, or you can just go straight for the core. It's probably better to blow up the guns because it's a lot of bullets on screen. That one, that's pretty tough. To get through the barriers, they have weak points. So you need to find the weak points in the barriers again while constantly moving and blast your way through. After all the bases are destroyed in the top view, the game switches to the familiar side-scrolling shoot-'em-up style, or they call it side view. You do not lose your power-ups each time you get another one, so the power-ups don't replace each other. Instead, you can switch them on the fly, so if you can manage to stay alive long enough, you can scroll through, I think at one point in time I had 5 or 6 different weapons. If you do die, you lose all the power-ups for that particular view. So if you die in side view, you lose all your side view weapons, but you don't lose your top view weapons.
Weird.
And vice versa. You start with 3 lives, but you'll pick up extra lives as you earn more points. There are 9 levels in total, 5 top-down and 4 side-scrolling.
Interesting.
Yeah, to have the 2 different modes that play surprisingly very different is very interesting for an early Sega title. Oh, we got our second cover art battle. So once again, North America and Europe teamed up and against Japan.
I'm definitely feeling the North America one on this. I think it's a little more realistic, and the Japan one feels a little more cartoony.
Yeah, and that I do think the North American Europe one kind of shows more of that sort of top-down view where you're trying to blow up the base. The Japanese one is kind of just generic red orbs, so I think I'm going to give this one to North America and PAL regions. the last game in the launch titles is Tommy Lasorda Baseball.
The Japanese and European title was Super League. It was developed and published by Sega. The designer was Naoto Oshima. The genre is sports, and players is 1 or 2.
In case you're wondering, yes, I did just want Mary to struggle through a bunch of Japanese
My
names.
tongue hurts. My tongue hurts from trying to pronounce all of this. I'm not very good at Japanese.
So this is the first game in a long line of games, or future games, that will attach themselves to real-life athletes and coaches, which I think is a pretty darn clever idea. Mm-hmm. It's much more, I think the name Tommy Lasorda Baseball is way more memorable than Super League.
Yeah.
You can play an exhibition game against a friend or the computer, or you can play a 30-game season.
Whew.
The game utilizes a password system to keep progress of your keep track of your progress and your stats as you play through that 30-game season. There's only 26 teams in Major League Baseball. All 26 teams match real-life Major League Baseball cities at the time. But all the stats, player names, and team names are fictional, so they did not have the license for MLB or the Players Association. The game has large, colorful sprites for the players with really nice graphics and a solid soundtrack. I love the animation after you hit a home run where the batter high-fives everyone in the dugout. Unfortunately, I cannot hit a home run. This game is really fun at 2 players. If you choose to play against the computer, get ready for Tommy Lasorda to bash your face in with a baseball bat.
Well, you gotta try and do something when you're 24 games out of first place. Tommy down. That's the quickest Tommy's moved all year. We got to mark that down. The quickest Tommy Lasorda moved in 1988 was after the Philly Fanatic on August 28th.
The AI player will not make any mistakes. If you throw a fastball, they will hit a home run. If you throw a pitch outside the plate, they will not swing. If you're up to bat, you will struggle with the built-in randomizer for when your bat actually makes contact with the ball. So that they had some kind of randomizer in there to determine how far and how fast it would go based on your swing instead of using some sort of in-game physics.
Oh.
When fielding, all of your players will have appeared to have horribly twisted their ankles during warm-ups and decided to throw with their non-dominant arm.
That's weird. And frustrating.
Yeah, you guys are so slow. They got just these total noodle arm throws. The single player mode on this game is so backbreaking. It's insane. If I got within 13 points of the final score playing against the computer, I got lucky.
You can't change the difficulty? Wow.
Well, maybe somewhere, but I didn't see it. We got our last cover art battle. We got 3 different ones going. North America, Japan, and PAL. So obviously, it's a little tricky because only one of them was sponsored by Tommy Lasorda.
Yeah. And that one has his face on it. Although I think the artwork for that one is a little odd.
Tommy Lasorda is not a handsome man. And I feel like that picture, they smoothed over a bunch of aged wrinkles. And he kind of just looks a little doughy and kind of, I don't know. Like his bright white hair, you're like, he should have more wrinkles. I got more wrinkles in this picture of Tommy Lasorda. So that one will probably go out. I can't pick that one.
Between Japan and Europe, it's really close because they're both pretty cool pictures, I think. Mm-hmm. I like the action shots in both of those. But I'm going with Japan on that one.
Yeah, I think I have to go Japan too. I wish his face wasn't so dark in that image. I understand that. I think they kind of wanted it to be a little bit brooding, you know, throwing the fastball in. I really hate the bent bat in the pal region. I don't know why that bothers me so much, but it bothers me. It's like a limp noodle bat. And it's a little more hectic going on with the fielder and the catcher behind
Different
them.
plays happening all at one time.
Yeah. I think I like the simplicity of the Japanese one the best. All right, let's rank some Sega games. So every month we are going to add to this list. So the top 6 Sega Genesis games of all time as of August 1989.
For us.
Period.
We have to say for us.
Number 1, Altered Beast.
I really enjoy that one.
I think that one, you know, it plays co-op, plays 2 players. It has a really nice soundtrack. It's a little rough on the platforming, but it's a lot of fun. I like the big giant bosses. The big giant boss fights I always thought were really cool. Then we'll go Thunder Force 2. While the top view is very difficult on that, the traditional side view is a lot of fun to play. Now, I died a lot recording this gameplay footage, but it was a lot of fun anyways. Number 3, Space Harrier II. You know, I struggled between this and then number 4 is Last Battle. I struggled which one to put. I feel like Space Harrier 2 plays better than Last Battle, but I like the innovations of Last Battle better than Space Harrier 2.
Okay.
Number 5, Super Thunderblade. It does what Space Harrier does worse. Yeah, that air brake, the moving platforms that you're trying to dodge while flying is just, that's awful. And then last is Tommy Lasorda Baseball. Now, I know everyone at home is thinking, oh, he's just going to put all the sports games at the bottom. That's not true. But you cannot have a single player mode be so completely one-sided. I could not imagine playing 30 game season while just losing by anywhere between 13 and 20 something points. It's baseball, okay? It's not football. You know, high scoring baseball game is 8. He's beating me by greater than 13. So I cannot recommend that. The 2-player mode is fun though. We played 2 players and it was a lot more balanced.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that'll do it. We will see you in September. Bye-bye.